independent, got my own boo. And I can run the cash up if I want to. Run it up, body cold, frosty. And I'm so bossy, and I'm so saucy. And my clothes, cause hood and I'm bougie. Gucci on my booty.
Hey guys, it's Jerika. So today I wanted to do a quick story time to tell you guys about my recent vacation. Today is Wednesday, July 11th. So last week, me and my husband decided to go ahead and go on a camping trip with some friends. When he first told me about the camping trip, the first thing I said was, I would love to go camping, but black people don't go camping. Okay, like hair issues, mostly. Natural hair issues, honestly. I mean, honestly, if you were relaxed, it'd be an issue too. It'd probably be more of an issue if you were relaxed because you don't want your hair to get wet. But I was like, oh man, like I'm supposed to come on my period next week because it was the week before when he told me. I was like, I really want to go because it's a new experience. It's something that I've never done before, and I just really would like to go just to see how it'll be. And the people that were going, I'm like, I really love these people, so it's like I can put my fears of camping and my fear of bugs aside to get this new experiences and to spend time with them. Like, they're really great people, so I'm like, come on, Jerika, like, you can deal with the bugs for a few days. You can deal with the heat and humidity for a few days. So what I decided to do, I went ahead and did a wash and go before I left. I'll insert a picture in over here of my wash and go that I had did, and it was great. Like, my curls were popping. And the moment we get there and I step outside the car and like walk over to them, talk to everybody, by the time I sat down in a chair, my hair, you could no longer see the curls in my hair. I went to curly wash and go to complete afro. I wasn't even, at that point, I'm like, I'm not even concerned because I'm here camping. Like, I'm not trying to look cute for anybody. I just really want to enjoy this experience. So I also went in the Tennessee River, which was really fun. Like, for those who don't know, like, I almost drowned at Six Flags when I turned 20. Me and my husband went with some friends. We rode this water ride. Everybody was so excited about this water ride. They were like, oh, all you gotta do is just sit on the little blow up donut thing and you're gonna ride through the tubes. Everything was great when I was riding through the tubes. I'm like, ooh, I'm so glad I did this. This is so much fun. And then we got to the end of the tube, and instead of me coming out of the tube and landing perfectly like everybody else was landing perfectly, when I came out of the tube, the first thing happened to me was my thing decided to flip forward and put me under the water head first. And my donut or whatever it was that I was sitting on floated away. I don't know where it went, but all I know was I was under the water, fearing and panicking, and my life literally flashed before my eyes. Like, it's so true when they say that when you're in a near-death experience or when you're about to die, like, you have, like, your life literally flashes before your eyes. It literally did. Like, the first thing I thought about was, what if I never see my mom and dad again, or my sister again? Like, those were the first things I thought about. Like, what if I never see my husband again? Even though he was outside the water looking at me like, why are you drowning? Like, it's only 5 feet, so the water wasn't high. But if you're thrown into a pool of water, no matter how little or how much water it is, if you can't swim, you're going to drown. That's what I was doing. I was drowning for I don't even know how long. It felt like a lifetime. All I know is my arms and legs were just all over the place, and I was just trying to get myself together. Because when you're in water, like, you weigh like 1 pound. So it's like, it was really weird for me to try and figure out, like, how am I going to get my body to stand straight up and down. Like, I'm so used to being on land. I'm so used to being on land and gravity taking over, making it easy. And I was in water, and like I said, when you're in water, you literally become like a floaty. Anyway, like, the whole time I was drowning, like, water was just forcing itself down my throat. My eyes was open. I remember like kicking and wailing my hands, and I'm like, come on now, like, I know you don't know how to swim, but I see people kick their feet and stuff and they be able to swim, so maybe I can try and finesse this moment. Eventually the lifeguard came and pulled me up, and he was just like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. At that point, as soon as I was pulled out of the water, like, all that water that I had swallowed, like, it was coming out of me, and I was choking really bad. I was crying, I was shaking, I was so scared. And like, no one knows the fear of drowning until you have drowned. To me, it was a big deal because I've never been in water before, and here I was trying to be cool with the crowd, trying to do what everybody else was doing, knowing I had no business being in that water. Anyway, so that's the traumatizing story. That's why I don't do water. That's why I'm afraid of water. I have been afraid of water ever since that day. I don't want to get in nobody's pool. If you push me in the water, we are no longer friends. And when I get out of this water, I will fight you. That's how I feel. Like I feel like if you push me in water, this is attempted murder because I cannot swim. So when we went there with our friends, like we got this really big pontoon. I didn't even know what a pontoon was, which is, it sounds funny saying it. Like I feel stupid not knowing, but it's a really big, nice boat. And so we went on the pontoon. We rode down Tennessee River. Everything was great. We stopped off at this little beach area that they have in Tennessee where a lot of people go. We pulled off there for like an hour and a half, and we all got out the boat. Everybody were in the water, and there was like woo! Everybody was all splashing and having loads of fun. And I'm standing there on the boat like, am I gonna get in this water? I was scared to get in the water, obviously, because it wasn't a swimming pool. It was a Tennessee River, so I'm like, there's animals in here, fish. Who knows what else is in this water? Like, I don't know what is in this water. Like, I don't want to feel nothing touch my leg. If something touched my leg, I am diving out of this water and I'm never getting back in. Eventually I'm just like, you know what, like I don't know when I'll be able to come back here. Like you just never know. So I'm like, live in the moment, go ahead and get in the water. So I put on my little, I had on a little white sun hat type thing, and I had on my cute little bathing suit, and I stepped in the water. It was like my ankles at first, and I'm thinking like, do I really want to get in this water? But everybody is looking and having so much fun in the water, and I'm sitting here contemplating, am I getting in this water? So I went ahead and got in the water. It was waist deep at that point. At that point I'm like, yeah babe, you're gonna have to hold my hand for me to continue here, because I cannot do this. Like I cannot get in this water. I was terrified. I was so scared, you guys, like scared. I knew nobody was gonna let me drown, so like I knew that if I had tried, like almost drowned, like I knew I would have been okay because I had people there. But at the same time, it's like, I am so scared. I do not want to do this. But then another voice was like, everybody else is swimming, it can't be that hard. So I got in the water. I realized that I don't even know how to float. So I went ahead and put on a life jacket and I started floating, and I was semi-floating, okay? Like I couldn't even float right. Like all of them was in there when they had on their life jackets, like, because one of my friends Ashley put on her life jacket and she was showing me like, this is how you do it or whatever, this is how you can float. Even with me trying to do what she was trying to show me, I still wasn't floating. Like I was floating. This is me, this is my head, like this is like upright. So I'm upright like I am now. Instead of floating straight up and down like everybody else was doing, like my floating, I kept going back, I kept going forward. And I'm like, why can't I float upright like everybody else? Like what is wrong with my body? Like what is wrong with me? Why can't I float like normal people? I don't know. I still don't know the answer to this question. I don't know if this question will ever be answered. Like maybe it's just not meant for me to swim. I don't know. You know, she was really a good friend. And I know that they were dying laughing at me, because if I were me, if I were outside of me, I would be dying laughing at me. But I was legit terrified. But I conquered my fear. I got in the water, so I made progress. Felt really good after I got out of the water. I'm like, you know, you did it. You may not have swam, but you did it. You may not have floated correctly, but you did it. You got in the water, so you can say that you have accomplished something in life. So I was excited about that. That evening though is when things went to hell for me. Like I said, I knew I was going to come on my period. I just didn't know when. I was scheduled to come on Thursday, July 5th. This was July 4th, so it was Wednesday, and you know, we were all having a great time, and all of a sudden my period came. And I'm like I knew it was coming, because you just, you know your period's coming, especially when you track it. I knew it was coming, but it just came a day early, and I'm just like, okay, I see you. I see what situation that I'm being put in. It started hurting so bad, and I'm like, I am in the freaking woods, period. Like I need for you to not do what you normally do. This might be TMI, but for most women that come on their period, you have to do number 2 a lot, and you barely have a warning, and it comes, okay? And there's nothing you can do about it. Like diarrhea, okay? Sorry TMI, but it is what it is, and I'm being real with y'all, because if you're a woman, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you come in your period, you have to do number 2 a lot more than you do any other times. So yeah, so that happened. I think I did go to the bathroom, so that was great. But like there was this little camper, and I'm like, I do not want to do number 2 in this thing, because I'm like, there's so many other people here. I don't know how long it's gonna take. I don't want to be the one stuck in this bathroom for 30 minutes and other people have to go. So I was really worried about that. I'm like, I just don't want to do this with everybody outside waiting for me to come out. Like I didn't want anything to happen. I didn't want to be the one on the toilet taking all the time. So, but I had no choice. But it was either that or squat in the woods, and that wasn't gonna happen. So I went ahead and used the bathroom. Everything was great. I took some medicine. You know, she had Pepto-Bismol. Like, she was legit. Like, I wouldn't have survived this trip without her.
The next day.
The next day came. I woke up feeling all good and stuff. So we decided we bought this, well, I didn't buy it, but my husband and her and everybody else went in and bought this float. This really big float. If I can find a picture of it, I'll put it in here. It holds like 10 people. So we went ahead and blew that up out in the hot sun. I was in the car in the air conditioning because I was just like, my stomach, I just couldn't do it. So they blew up the float or whatever. We put it on the water. That was a disaster. I honestly wish I had got that on camera because, you know, we was wondering why everybody on the beach was staring at us and probably laughing because we looked stupid, okay? Like, our float was cool, but our little canopy thing kept falling off, and it just wasn't, I don't know, it was a disaster. Like, it was a situation where you had to be there to see it, and it was so funny, you guys. Like, eventually, so I'm sitting in this float, and I'm like, okay, I'm conquering my fear again. I'm on this water. Like, the moment I got in the float, I'm like, nope, I'm drowning. I'm dying today. I can't get on this thing. Like, I can, just being on the water and, like, you know, going like this in the float, I'm like, yep, no. This, I can't do this. I'm gonna drown. Like, I just knew that I was gonna drown. I just knew that this float was gonna deflate. Anyway, so we were out in the water, and, like, you could tell by the way that I was sitting that I was so uncomfortable. Everybody that looked at me and just started dying laughing. They're like, Jerika, are you okay? Like, you don't look okay. I wasn't okay. But I was trying to be a trooper for the team. Then all of a sudden, like, I noticed the water kept getting higher and higher because this float, it had a little middle part where with a net where water could be in so that you could, you know, your feet could be in it. And I just noticed, like, something ain't right, y'all, because I'm getting lower. Like, this water is getting higher and higher, and like something ain't right. Okay, so all I know is I felt like the water was creeping in, and then as more people tried to get into the float, it felt like we were going under. We weren't going under, but it felt like we was going under, and I'm like, yep, roll me back to shore. Get me out of this thing. I'm done. Like, I am done. I'm done trying to be adventurous. Like, this boat, I mean, this float is going down. Like, everybody was laughing at me. Like I said, it's funny now, but at the time I was terrified, and I just knew that I was going to die by float that day. And yeah, so so they pushed the float back to shore. I got out of it, and I sat there on the cooler while they went back out in the water, and I watched because I'm like, I can't do this. So while I'm sitting there on the cooler, that feeling, it comes again when you're on your period and you gotta do number 2, and there's nothing you can do about it but answer the call, because you can't avoid it. Like, sometimes if you feel like you gotta do number 2, you might be able to hold it off for a little bit, but when you're on your period, like, you cannot do that. Like, it's hard. So I told them, like, so her boyfriend, our friend Nico, obviously you guys don't know him, but he's been in the vlogs before. He was like, are you alright? Like, are you alright, Jerika? Do you need something? And I looked at him, I'm like, I'm not okay, I need toilet. Mind you, we are like 15 minutes away from where we were staying on, like, the camping area, so that may not seem like a long time, but when you gotta do number 2, like, it is like a lifetime away. So first of all, we had to wait for everybody to get out the water, then we had to deflate the float, then we had to fold up the float, then we all had to grab our items, then we had to try and stuff it back in the car. Meanwhile, I'm inside the car crying to myself, praying. Like, you guys, I have never been in a situation where I had to do number 2 so bad, and I knew that there was nothing I could do about it, and I was so scared, and I was thinking to myself, like, I am really about to do number 2 of myself in front of all of my friends, and there is nothing I can do about it. Like, I am going to do number 2 in front of everybody, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, that's all I kept thinking to myself. And I was in disbelief, because I'm like, I can't believe this is about to happen in my life. Like, why? I was like, why me? Like, why God? Why? Like, this is the thoughts that are going through my head. Like, why now? Why couldn't this have waited till after we got back? But the call, like, it was knocking. And I knew that if I didn't get to a toilet as soon as possible, I was going to do number 2 on myself while on my period in the woods in front of everybody. So I would have been naked in the woods squatting, doing number 2 on my period in the woods. So with everybody seeing, when I told them I had to do number 2, I'm like, I have to go now. We can't waste no more time. We cannot waste any more time. If we waste any more time, I am going to do number 2 myself, and I'm driving all the way back home after. Ain't no way I'm staying on this trip if I do number 2 in front of everybody. I am driving back home to Missouri all by myself. So, you know, everybody hurried up for me, which I'm so thankful for them. And, you know, we sped back to camp. And I just remember hopping out the car. The moment she put the car in park, I just ran out and went straight to the bathroom. Thank you for providing me with friends who understand. Friends who didn't make me feel bad because I had to go. Friends who were understanding. Friends who took care of me. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible time. And I don't wish it on anybody. There's nothing worse than having to do number 2 and there not being a toilet in sight. Like I said, I'm just really thankful for them. Despite that, I had a really great time camping. I enjoyed it. I thought that I was gonna be like sweating to death because it was so hot, you guys. But we had brought a fan from home and plugged it into our tent. You know, we had our little air mattress and our little blankets, and I actually slept really good out in the woods. I had no reception on my phone, so that was great. I was amazed. Like, I was so glad I didn't have reception. Like, no calls, no Facebook, no Instagram, no YouTube, nothing. So camping went really well, and like I said, I love the people that I went with, so it was really fun, and I'm just so thankful for them because I would not have made it. I would not have made it without them, okay? I would not have made it without them. I would have been so lost. So if you guys watch this video, I love you guys, and I really appreciate you. You saved my life that day, and you should be recognized. You should get an award, because if it wasn't for y'all, I don't know what I would have done. I just don't know what I would have done. So that's my story time, you guys. Moral of the story is, don't do number 2 on yourself. I don't ever want to put myself in that position again, and I'm praying that I never am in that position again. So if you guys enjoyed this story time, I hope you guys thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Snapchat to keep up with me in my daily life. I'm pretty sure I have other story times, but this was the most recent one that I feel like I wanted to share just because it was funny. It's funny now, but during the time it was not funny. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.